All right, well, good evening, everybody. I want to welcome you to tonight's presentations with our virtual college exploration through the Illinois Association of College Admissions Counseling, along with our partnership with StriveScan. So my name is Scott Lilly. I'm a counselor at Glenbard East High School in Lombard, Illinois, just about 20 miles west of the city. And it's my distinct pleasure to introduce you to three of my good friends that I get to see each year, and hopefully a couple times a year, to share with me their individual schools. Now, tonight, what we've done is we've put something together to help you kind of understand your different options out there. We've got three samples of three different styles of schools and three wonderful women who will tell you about how they are. So without taking up any more of their time, I want to go ahead and get started. I just want to give you a couple housekeeping items first, though. Just to let you know, the Q&A will be active. So if you have any questions at any point, go ahead and plug your questions right in there. But your microphone and your camera will be turned off the entire evening. Also want to let you know that the recording of this session will be made available on IACAC's website. So we invite you to come back and view that at a future date or share that with your friends. And at the conclusion of this presentation, we're going to ask you to do a brief survey, give us a little feedback about how we're doing here, and also remind you to sign up for some more sessions. So again, without further ado, I don't want to take any of the time away from the ladies. So ladies, I'll turn it over to you. Go ahead and get us started here.
It is literally all ladies but you tonight, Scott. I love it. Thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so I don't forget to do that. So give me one quick second. I'm going to get our presentation up and running. But while I do that, you guys, can you all see my screen? Yes. Okay. Awesome. My name is Rachel. I am from Augustana College. I am joined tonight with two of my fabulous friends and colleagues from Colorado State as well as Syracuse University. April and Tiffany. We have three fabulous current students from each of our institutions here tonight. So we're really excited to talk to you guys tonight about what it's like to find your best college fit. Is that in a smaller setting? Is that in a medium setting? Is that in a larger setting? And so hopefully by the end of our presentation, you have a little bit of a taste of each one. And then of course, you'll hear from some fabulous current students. So we'll go ahead and get started. Okay, so we are going to talk to you first about small, medium, and large perspectives on our admissions review process. So I'll go ahead and kick things off with the smaller school perspective. We thought we'd give you all three at once so you didn't have to kind of jump around and remember what I said versus what April said versus what Tiffany said. So typically at smaller schools, we have a little bit more of a holistic approach to reviewing your application. So with the holistic review process, we totally recognize that every applicant has a story to tell. Maybe you had a rough freshman year that you need and want to explain, or there was something going on in your family that led to not being able to participate in extracurricular activities outside of what's currently happening in the world, right? Like that's a whole different story. But if you're looking for more of that need to explain or beyond just this is my test score, this is my GPA, blah, blah, blah. A lot of times at smaller schools, you'll get that with the holistic review process. Maybe you really want to be recognized for being president of the student council or captain of the football team. Most admission counselors at small schools like myself are the ones reviewing your application, not an algorithm, and I make note of your accomplishments both academically and extracurricularly. So small schools often also want to know that you're interested in us too. So we sometimes call that demonstrated interest. So have you met with me, your admission counselor? Have you replied to an email or a text or participated in an info session, whether that be virtually or an in-person visit? So smaller schools do pay attention to all of their details usually in the application review when we are determining admission of a student. So I'm going to let April talk a little bit about the medium-sized perspective at Syracuse.
Great, thank you, Rachel. So absolutely, we will also do a holistic review for students, looking at some of the same things that Rachel just talked about. We want to get a chance to get to know you, get to know the things that are important to you. And again, as Rachel mentioned, if there was a time that you would like to give a little bit more explanation for, we're absolutely there to listen to that. But a mid-sized college and university is also kind of in that gray area. You know, if you're looking at a school like Syracuse, we again do that holistic review, but some of our counterparts, maybe on the public side who are in that mid-size range, may be doing more of a GPA test score type of acceptance. Or for example, some of the public schools in Iowa have something called the RAI score. And I know that kind of goes into some of the larger institutions, but some of the smaller publics there will use that also. And it's, you know, just another way to kind of review that's not as heavily based on outside factors. But again, at Syracuse, we want to get to know you. We want to dive in, see the things that are important to you, and see how you would fit with us as a student on our campus. So again, like Rachel mentioned, we'll track demonstrated interest. We want to hear from you. And where this might come into play the most is if at some point we have students on a wait list and we're looking to take students off of there. That would be something that we're looking at. Are they continually demonstrating interest to us? Are they truly interested in attending a college or university like ours? Same thing if a student is on the bubble for being accepted or not. We'll look at that interest over time and see, is it someone who may have just handed in an application and we've never talked to, never met before, or is it someone who, you know, we've met at a high school visit or a college fair, or you know, maybe an event of some type where you came to campus or something like that. So again, demonstrating interest is a great thing when we are looking at you for admissions. And I'm going to pass it to Tiffany now to talk a little bit about large institutions.
We're large and in charge. So the admissions review at a larger public school isn't quite the same. It's a little bit of a more, it's a rigid process. It is a little bit more automated. So at CSU this past application cycle, we received 35,000 applications. Although I love every single student from my territory, and I will be your #1 advocate, at the same time, that's 1,200 students from my territory alone. So there is a little bit more of an automated process. Some students are automatically admitted. These students don't need me, quite frankly. Some students are automatically denied. So no matter how much you and I cry about it and beg, plead, there's really nothing that we can do to change the outcome. But the majority of our students do fall into this holistic review that we all keep talking about. Even the big schools do this. And so basically in a holistic review, we're looking for you as a student. What makes you tick? What are you going to bring to our university community? Why do you want to come to our university? There is also the standardized test scores, not this year, thanks COVID, if something positive has come of this for students who do not test well. But pre this year, it was heavy on test scores and academic performance. So we do not do interviews. We do not meet one-on-one with students. We do track demonstrated interest in a very small capacity, but it's not a large part of the decision-making process like it might be at our other institutions. So, you know, whether it be small, medium, or large, you know, again, as your admissions counselors, we're all here to be your #1 advocate and to help you through the process.
Absolutely. Okay, so now we're going to give you a little bit of perspective from the small, medium, and large side on academics. So what we've done here is put pictures from each of our institutions too, just so you could kind of get a little taste while we're talking. So soak it all in. But usually academics at a small school, you're going to have smaller class sizes, right? Like we don't enroll large classes. So the reality for students at some of the world's largest universities is that you'll be in a class alongside a couple hundred people. That is just not the case at smaller schools. So if that is a little overwhelming to you, particularly when you're like trying to get acclimated to a new environment, a new way of life, being away from home for the first time, sometimes students select a small school because they know they're going to have smaller class sizes. So like I went to a large public and some of my freshman classes were 500 or so students. So at a small college, you'll rarely be in classes of more than 50 students. In most cases, about 2/3 of your classes will be fewer than 20 students. For example, one of our classes in the in the education department had 4 students in the class. So if that's something that's enticing to you, or you just think you might be overwhelmed with a couple hundred people in a class, maybe a smaller school is for you. Your college search is all about finding your best fit and where you think you're going to be most successful and in what type of environment you'll be most successful. So the small class environment will give you a lot of opportunities to ask questions, participate in discussion, and maybe have a professor who knows your name. It's always nice to be a person rather than a number in a class. A lot of times at smaller class sizes, you'll be expected to come to class ready to discuss. So you'll have a really strong grasp of the concepts usually, and maybe meet new friends, develop those critical thinking skills that employers are looking for, which might be a little bit harder to develop in a larger lecture hall setting. Again, not all the time. You might be a student that's like, I absolutely want to be one of 500 students. That was me. But a lot of times students really just don't want to be with that many students. So if you know yourself and you know that you're going to be the one sitting in the back of a large lecture hall, and it might be intimidating to ask questions or ask for that feedback on your paper, maybe you do want to consider a smaller school where you'll only be one of 3, 4, maybe 20 students. So think about yourself as a student currently. Are you currently intimidated asking questions of your teacher? Maybe you won't have a single issue going up to a faculty member after a large lecture, but at a smaller school where you might be in classes with 20 or fewer students, these smaller classes really help to get those questions answered, but also allow you to express your opinion. So think about that type of student you are and how you're currently successful in the classroom, and that might help you decide what type of classroom setting you're looking for. April?
Absolutely. So I love this about mid-sized colleges and universities. We kind of have that fit in between everybody where we have some good sized classes. You know, our average class size at Syracuse is about 26 students. 60% of our classes have 20 or fewer in them. We're still keeping those numbers down. You still get that one-on-one interaction with your professors that is so very valuable as you are, you know, asking questions, as you're making connections towards maybe working on a research project with one of them. You know, maybe they can connect you with an internship in an area they're very familiar with. We also do a whole lot in different areas, whereas maybe you can engage across different academic colleges and you can participate not only where you're learning. So if you are a education major, you can also go over to the business college and take classes there. It's encouraged. We want you to cross those boundaries. We want you to try new subjects. Take a class just because you want to learn about the subject, because it sounds interesting. These are all things that you can very easily do by talking to your advisors, by talking to your professors, by becoming involved in the academic area that you are looking at. And academics, honestly, is probably one of the primary reasons you are going to college, right? You want to go there, you want to take those classes, get your degree. And then all the other stuff is extra. It's on the side. It's the benefit of going to a university like ours, or a small size or a large size. But focusing in on, do we have your major? What types of programs do we have in those majors? And what type of resources do we have available for students who are pursuing careers that come from those majors? And I love being mid-sized because we can provide a lot of resources for students, but still make it personal. So we have career services departments in each academic college. They'll work with you to connect you with internships to help you job search. They will work with you on those cover letters and resumes and give you mock interviews so that you're really very prepared to go on. And if you're thinking grad school after this, we can help connect you with other students so you can maybe form study groups for a MCAT or an LSAT or something like that. So it's a great way to be in the middle, to be really involved, but have people still there to encourage you and support you as you go through your academic career. Tiffany?
So I'm going to say that anything you do at a small school, you can also do at a large school. The key about going and finding the right fit is to know that within a large university, you can create a small university if that's what you're seeking. But I mean, as both have noted, you are going to be in larger lecture halls. You know, at Colorado State, our largest lecture hall is 250. But at a big university, we're not that big. We're about 32,000, about 28,000 undergraduate. Some universities have 60,000 students. Like, that is a huge university. Those lecture halls might be upwards of 1,000 students. So just to really know yourself and know, do you want to sit in the back or do you want to sit in the front? Can you self-advocate? Can you ask questions? Do you feel comfortable doing that? You know, the cool thing about a big school is you can be completely anonymous. You know, you can sit in the back row and you can, you know, I don't want to say slide under, but, you know, the opportunity for you to really create your involvement is much more prevalent at a large university. Resources, let's talk about this. So the big public schools, we funnel more than $350 million a year into resources. Our campus sprawls 8,500 acres. We have 250 areas of study. 75% of students change their major throughout their freshman year. That's a huge percentage. So to have 249 other areas that you can fall back on, the support services, the diversity offices, the student organizations, study abroad, that's a big part of our culture at CSU. And so, you know, the larger the university, the more people who are there, so the more opportunities that there are. That's really the main things I wanted to touch on. Oh, faculty. You know, at a larger university, you have internationally recognized faculty because they go where the research dollars are. And so it comes with a lot more name recognition, not necessarily, but there could be more name recognition. And then 99% of our faculty members at CSU have terminal degrees. But some of your smaller breakout sessions might be taught by TAs, which is a teaching assistant. So it's a student who's working on a master's or a graduate doctoral degree. So it really, again, just depends on what's the right fit for you. All three of us want what's the right fit for you. So that's a little bit about the academic side. I believe we're moving on to the community side and building the community at our schools.
That is true. Hopefully we're giving you guys a lot of food for thought. There are pros and cons to every size, every college out there. So our goal here today is just to give you guys a ton of things to think about. So as it relates to the community at small versus medium versus large, most of the time on smaller campuses, there's going to be a very strong sense of community. And I hope we all say this, but at least from what I've experienced, there's a really strong sense of community on Augustana's campus. This is really just a natural side effect of a smaller student body where a student is most likely to know most, if not all, of their graduating class. You may like that or you may not like that statement, but this usually makes it easier for students to make friends, not only within their academic department, but within other programs as well. So a lot of students prefer to be a part of this close-knit community rather than just one of a very large graduating class at a larger school. Your choice. Also, the alumni community. What alumni networks are at small colleges, fantastic. So what we might lack in size, we make up for in strength. So most graduates head out into the world with strong bonds capable of lasting a lifetime. And thanks to the strength of our alumni networks, it's really cultivated by like the small college experience. So I would say that those are probably two of the biggest aspects of community at a smaller school. April?
Community is absolutely one of my favorite parts of a college campus. You are going to find people that you can connect with. You'll find those lifelong friends that, 20, 30 years from now, you are still getting together with and, talking to each other and sharing, oh, this happened to me today. You're going to find those people in college, no matter where you go. And I love about the medium-sized campus is that you're going to see your friends as you walk across the quad. You're going to be able to wave at them and bump into them, but you have the chance every day of meeting someone new. You can bump into someone at the library that you've met before or never met before. You will bump into people in the most random spots. And because of this connection that you have from your major or from an activity you're part of, you will soon form this friendship just based on that. And especially for Syracuse, I know our community is very, very strong. We are very well known for our school spirit, which is part of that community. We love Syracuse. We bleed orange for our athletic events and for the other engagements that our students are part of. And as Rachel mentioned, our alumni are fantastic. They do a wonderful job of supporting our current students and encouraging them, offering them internships and job opportunities when they have them. I would encourage any of you, join the Alumni Association when you graduate from whatever college you go to, because it will be a wonderful resource for you. Here in the Chicago area, we have over 2,000 alumni in the Orange Alumni Association out here. They are fantastic. They're constantly meeting the new graduates. They are doing volunteer work. They are supporting one another, encouraging one another. It's just that next stage of home for you. And we want you to feel part of that no matter what stage you're in, whether you are coming to our campus for the first time and getting a peek at us, watch the people as they walk across the quad, watch them talk to each other and laugh and have fun. Is this a place you want to be? And then as you're a student, as you bump into people, as you talk to them, as you laugh and have fun and form those friendships, and then as you graduate and go on in the world, you will keep those ties with the people that you have engaged with. And your professors are probably going to become friends with you, at least some that are within the academic interest area that you've majored in, because you talk to them every day. They are a wonderful, wonderful support network. They truly care about you. They want to support you. They want you to succeed. And they'll keep track of you and encourage you every step of the way. And I think, to me, that's what the community is like at a mid-size, and especially at Syracuse.
So again, I'm very partial to Colorado State. But I feel that Colorado State is actually an exception. The smaller schools do tend to have more of that cohesive feeling, more of that familial feeling. But Colorado State, our students all get along so well. We're very outdoorsy on our campus. So we have a common denominator of the great outdoors. And so that naturally ties our students together. I like to think we actually have one of the friendliest, we are actually ranked the happiest and healthiest city, the third happiest and healthiest city in America. So it just is a place where students are able to come together. At a large university, you're going to have opportunities to find your people, to find the people that you want to be with. But high school is high school. College is the time to explore and reinvent and, maybe find people that you didn't know were your people. So the beautiful thing about a large university is we have all of the opportunities. We have all of the people from all over the world for you to really learn, grow, and develop and find, maybe the people that you're comfortable with, but also expand your horizons and build that new sense of community. So next, we're going to talk about student life. Is that correct?
That is correct. And I am just going to start by acknowledging that you as a student can have an amazing experience as it relates to student life on any college campus that you choose. It is all about finding your fit. And you're going to hear us say that like 1,000 times tonight if you haven't already. It's about finding your fit. It's what you make of it. So if you are the student that goes just from class to your dorm room, that's your experience. But a lot of times what we're finding is students make the most of the campus they choose because of the student life. Like you might choose a small school because you want a leadership role, or you might choose a large school because they have thousands of options for you to choose from. But you're going to have an amazing experience wherever you choose, but it's about you making the most of it. Self-advocating, going to those meetings, finding your group. But on a smaller campus, more than likely students are going to participate in things. Students at smaller colleges are more likely to participate in research with faculty or have an internship or a field experience. And this is usually because at most small colleges, students aren't competing with graduate level students for research opportunities or a different type of position that might be reserved for graduate students or something like that. Students definitely have the opportunity at small schools to work directly with their professor on research projects rather than being under graduate level student supervision. So the smaller the college, the more likely students are to kind of have like a senior experience or to be required to do a senior inquiry project or a senior capstone, things like that, or a service learning experience. Not all the time, sometimes, but I think one of the biggest overlooked benefits of a small college can be found outside of the classroom. There's less competition for leadership positions in the various student organizations, and I think this applies to sports as well. At many small colleges, about 1/3 of students on that campus will also be athletes, or maybe 1 in 4 will be in participating in an ensemble. So there are so many different perks and pros and cons to all the different sizes, but I think that's one of my favorite things about small colleges is that students really have the opportunity to hold a leadership position and get involved in a variety of student organizations. April?
So for a mid-sized college or university, you're going to find that your choices are probably expanding. You're going to have a lot of clubs, athletics, and organizations to choose from. But wherever you look, you're only going to be able to sign up for so many, right? Because you're going to have to work on those time management skills. You're going to have to choose the things that are important to you. And maybe that means trying a new club or organization and finding out, hey, it's not for me, but you had this new experience. You learned something about yourself, and it's okay to try something else after that. You'll find that mid-sized colleges and universities probably have a few hundred clubs or organizations. There's activities that are going on every day of the week, almost all hours of the waking day for you to engage with and to try out. If you're into, choir or band, there are several choirs and bands and ensembles that you can join. If you are into Greek life, there will probably be, several Greek organizations that you can join. And Greek life, of course, is social, but there's also academic Greek and volunteer Greek and different ways that you can participate in that community. There are so many, many opportunities on a mid-sized campus. And I know Rachel mentioned research. Absolutely. So research is prevalent amongst mid-sized universities, just like all. You will still be able to work on research projects with your faculty members and be engaged in that. There are going to be some, master's and PhD students who will be doing the research along with you. But oftentimes it's not taking research spots from you. You are helping them in their research as you go. So it's a great way to connect and to help find yourself is by joining these clubs and organizations and seeing what's out there. So Tiffany?
So at a larger university, you probably will have more opportunities to be exposed to a wider variety of things because there's more people coming with more life experiences, more religious backgrounds, more talents, more skills. So at a larger university, at Colorado State, for example, we have more than 500 student organizations on our campus. We have 20 choirs, different kinds of choirs. There's a marching band, there's a pep band, there's a presidential leadership band. You don't have to be a music major to participate with any of those. We have 3 major playhouses. We have one of the top 15 rec centers in the country. Sports clubs are huge at CSU. So, we have the top lacrosse club team and the top lacrosse baseball team in the entire country. So they travel, they compete. It's not a D1 sport, no, but it is super competitive. D1, that is one fun thing about being at a larger university. We just built a $250 million football stadium. It seats 40,000 people. So we have some really random clubs on our campus, like the entomology club. I had to look it up. It's the study of bugs. Okay, learn something new every day. But again, college is the time to explore and to learn what you want and what you don't want and to be who it is that you want to become. And a large university does have all of these opportunities for you to exhaust. But as Rachel said, or April, I forget which one of my wonderful co-presenters, but you are going to have to establish time management at a larger university. You can't be involved with 500 student organizations and still graduate in 4 years with your degree. But the campus vibe on a bigger campus, there's just a lot more opportunity. Not to say that there's not opportunities at a smaller school. I want to take a second to stress the importance of a visit. I think all 3 of us will definitely say the singular most important thing that you can do in your college search is to visit our respective campuses. Some students say, no, I am not going to a small school. Some students say, no, I am not going to a big school. Make sure that you visit and you get to see the community, you get to see the student life, you get to see the classroom in action before you rule any of the sizes out. Okay, now we're moving on to financials.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, so at smaller schools, I think there's this common misconception that small schools equal private schools, which equals the most expensive option that you can ever choose from in your college search. But that's not actually always the case. Small schools are not always more expensive than larger schools. So sometimes we can be a good investment if financial aid is there. So smaller schools will oftentimes have quite a variety of grant programs. We'll have a lot of scholarships available to students, including those for non-majors. Like at Augustana, there are scholarships for non-majors in music and theater and things like that. So those departments have the ability to know your story and maybe you can appeal for financial aid, things like that. So I think that at a smaller school, it usually means that you can get a little bit more financial aid than attending a larger school where there might be a little bit more competition, or they, might not have any wiggle room or anything like that. But at the end of the day, small schools are not always more expensive than a larger school.
I'm going to say kind of the same thing that Rachel just said. I think the difference in cost a lot of the times comes between public and private universities rather than kind of a small, medium, large institutional fit. You're going to see, maybe a higher sticker price at a private institution, but we do offer maybe more in scholarship money. So to think about financial considerations, make sure you're looking at the bottom line. What is my tuition fees and room and board costs at college A against college B? So even if you get 5,000 at one college and 10,000 at another, you have to look at how much is left over. And when you're going to a mid-sized university, I think it depends on the particular university, if they're doing an automatic scholarship review, if they require the FAFSA, the CSS profile, if there's a separate application for scholarships. These are all things to kind of consider as you go on, but it's becoming a little bit more automated where you're going to be automatically considered for some of these things at our size institution. So Tiffany?
I'm just going to echo the same thing. A lot of people, sometimes will come to me and they want to play let's make a deal with the cost of attendance. And we're a big public university. We're rigid. There's no flexibility. The cost is the cost, and the financial aid is the financial aid package. So your admissions counselor isn't going to be able to leverage and isn't going to be able to help negotiate the cost of attendance as much. So that's the main difference between the different size universities. Rachel, I'm going to spin it back to you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know that our we want to give you just a real quick perspective on each of our three institutions, just to kind of set the tone for what our current students are about to share with you. So I'm going to give you a real brief overview about Augustana. We're 2,500 total students. We're located in Rock Island, Illinois, so about 2.5 hours from the Chicagoland area. Your student-to-faculty ratio is 11:1, and you have over 90 majors to choose from. So probably significantly less than you'll hear from my colleagues, but about 40% of our students will double or triple major on our campus. So I think that's one of the biggest perks of coming to a small private liberal arts college like Augustana, is that you do have the opportunity to double or triple major and still graduate in 4 years. One of my very favorite things about Augustana, and then I'm going to turn it over to April, is something that we offer called Augie Choice. It's $2,000 for every single student, their junior or senior year, to study abroad, do an internship, or research. And I think that's one of my favorite things about Augustana. April?
Thanks. So Syracuse is located in upstate New York. We're actually a 2-hour direct flight out of O'Hare, or you can take the Amtrak from Union Station. It goes right to Syracuse as well. We have about 15,000 undergrads, a few thousand grad students. So that puts us in that mid-size range. We have a 15:1 student to faculty ratio and an average class size, again, of about 26 students. We have a robust study abroad program. About 60% of our students study abroad. We actually have 5 campuses around the world where you can study, where we have our own faculty teaching, and then 60 other world partners where you can do that full immersion study abroad. We have over 200 majors and 100 minors. So again, there's something for everybody to study, and we are a Research One institution. So if that is important to you, we do a fantastic job of that as well. I'm going to let Tiffany do a brief talk about CSU.
So the studying Colorado State University, we're located in Fort Collins, Colorado, an hour north of Denver. It's a stunning campus. It's actually ranked one of the top 25 most beautiful college campuses of the world. I have a minute. So our student body is about 29,000 undergraduate students. We have 8 different colleges, 250 areas of study with 74 bachelor's degrees. Some of our top programs are anything related to animals or anything with the environment. Our campus, again, sprawls about 8,600 acres. So there's endless opportunities for students at Colorado State University. But we want to be very cognitive of our very short time that we have left. We have 3 amazing students with us. Each of us are happy to chat with you about our respective universities, but we want you to hear about the student perspective.
Yeah, so I am just going to introduce Ajwa. Do you want to turn your video on? Ajwa is part of our class of 2023. She is majoring in philosophy and pre-med. She's a member of Black Student Union and African Student Association, and I'm going to let her speak real briefly about her current experience at Augustana, and then we will turn it over to April at Syracuse to introduce their student. Ajwa, you.
Hi, my name is Ajwa. I'm currently a sophomore at Augustana College. When I first came to Augustana, I wasn't really a social person. Like, I love being around people, but it was kind of hard for me to approach people. But when I joined PACE, which is like a multicultural program for students from diverse cultural background, and they helped me interact with different students from different cultural backgrounds, and I learned a lot from them. And currently I work at the admissions office with a few of my friends from PACE, and I love them so much. I really enjoy Augustana's classes. Right now I take biology, and I love my lab class. My professor Kimberly Murphy, she's such an amazing person. She interacts with all the students, and our class involves just 5 students. As Rachel said, Augustana is a very small college, but you have one-on-one interaction with your professor, and it really helps me.
Thank you, Ajwa. That was wonderful to hear about Augie. Right now, I'm going to introduce Frankie Saylor. She's class of 2021, and talk about things she's involved with here. She does a little bit of everything. Frankie, would you like to share some of your experiences at Syracuse?
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, everyone. My name is Frankie Saylor. As April said, I'm class of 2021 at Syracuse University. I'm in a dual major program, so I am getting 2 Bachelors of Sciences in 4 years, one in public relations and one in marketing. As you can see, as April said, I do a bit of everything. As she said, there's a lot to get involved in and you have to pick and choose. I'm pretty bad at saying no, so that's why mine looks like this. But that being said, I absolutely have enjoyed my almost 4 years here at Syracuse. I chose Syracuse because I thought the combination of what it gave me was unique to other universities. As you've heard, that small and big, a little bit smaller and a little bit larger have their perks in different ways, but I thought that the combination of clubs, the size that was, as April said, you walk down the street and see people you know, but you also see people you've never seen before. And the alumni network is absolutely extremely tight-knit here. People who go to Syracuse love Syracuse. And just like the student life and culture, we're a 17,000 undergraduate university, but when the Duke game comes around, we somehow get 40,000 people in the dome. I think there's just a great sense of community. I've never felt bored or like I can't find something that I want to be involved in. And yeah, I think medium-sized school was the right fit for me, but I think all of these schools are great options for depending on what you're looking for.
Thank you so much, Frankie. Yay. Okay, last but not least, we have Izzy with Colorado State. Izzy's from Stevenson. So, hey, girl, representing Illinois here. Izzy, do you mind popping on and talking about why Colorado State, what you're involved with, and how your experience has been so far?
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. So, hi, my name is Izzy. I'm a junior here at CSU, and I chose CSU for so many reasons. As you guys were all talking about the colleges tonight, just made me realize, wow, there's a lot of similarities between all these colleges, and they're all pretty amazing in their own ways. But I chose CSU because at the time and to this day, I'm interested in so many things like environmental science, animals, nutrition, political science, like so many things. And I wanted to know that where I was going to school, if I decided to switch my major or study something else or get involved in some sort of club that has to do with any one of my passions, I would be able to do that. And CSU really does offer that for me, which I really value. And then also, as all you guys were saying, I really value a sense of community. When I first came to CSU, the second I stepped on campus, I was just like, yeah, I'm coming here because I felt such a sense of friendliness and warmth and like welcomeness that it just made me feel at home right away. And I think that's really important. While we are a larger school, it never ceases to prove to me that the world is small. I see someone I know every time I walk to school. It's just a full circle. Like Tiffany was actually my admissions counselor in high school, and now it's like a full circle because I'm looking for admissions for CSU. So it really does feel small. And with those larger classrooms, there's a lot of resources to make those large classes feel small. For instance, office hours, TAs. I went into one of my first psychology classes, and I met with the professor in his office hours, and now I'm his teaching assistant for his class. So you really do get those resources. Some of my favorite resources we have at CSU are tutoring. We have a tilt center where you get like student teachers to help tutor you, or the writing center where you can bring in any stage of writing at any point, whether you have zero ideas or it's completely done and you just want someone to run it over. I love the writing center. And then clubs, as Tiffany said, we have over like 450 clubs, close to 500. So there really is something for everyone. And by getting involved, I think that really helped me just kind of be able to feel that really sense of community and Ram pride on campus.
Thank you so much, Izzy. Thank you to all of our students. We had some questions that we were going to hopefully cycle through, but we only have a few minutes left here. Are there any questions and answers or any questions that we can answer quickly? No? Do we have time for one more?
I might do one of ours until a student pops it in.
Okay.
I would love to hear maybe a piece of advice that our students have for students looking at small, medium, large colleges. Is there something that you figured or you thought would be very important during your college search?
I can speak on that if that's okay. I definitely was unsure of the size. I went to a pretty big high school. I went to Glenbard West in the Chicagoland area. So that's a pretty big school. I think that definitely seeing something of every size when you first start is so important. Maybe you have a really strong, I know this was said, but maybe you have a really strong indication that you're a Big Ten school all the way, and then you get there and you realize, I am not going to fit in here. This is not for me. I think trying a lot of different things is really important. And ultimately, it's a very personal decision. And like your best friend could hate the school you go to, and you could really not like the school they go to. But do what's best for you in this case, because it's going to be your next 4 years. And definitely, if you have a gut feeling, I think go with it. I think that's a big thing for college. If you just step on a campus and it feels right, learn about every opportunity possible that you might want to get into there and kind of embed yourself in. I think that's the best way to kind of go about college searches generally.
Thank you for joining us tonight, everyone.
I think, Frankie, that was a great way to kind of summarize what we were really looking for out of this whole presentation. So, ladies, as we expected, wonderful job, of course. But I think as Frankie pointed out, we just gave you an idea of what the 3 different categories you could be looking at. So we hope that helped you out a little bit tonight. Again, I want to thank everybody for joining us. I want to thank our presenters, April, Rachel, and Tiffany. Fantastic as always, as well as our student guests this evening. I want to encourage you to, again, hang on right when we close off this video. We're going to ask you to fill out a quick survey. It shouldn't take very long. Just give us a little feedback about how we're doing. Also, go back to the IACAC website. Check out this presentation, other ones we've done. And we still have a few more coming up next week too, so we'd still love to have you sign up some more. So once again, I want to thank everybody for joining us this evening and attending our session. We hope you found it beneficial. And most importantly, I want to thank our ladies for presenting and offering us some wonderful information about all our options out there. Thank you very much for joining us, and have a wonderful evening.
Thanks, Scott. Bye, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.